bird on a tree. I'm just sitting here. I got time. It's clear to see from up here. The world seems small. We can sit together.
Hi everyone, this is Monica Ramirez, and Warrior of Love, and you're in Soul Talk. Today we have a different kind of coach that I have encountered. His name is Michael Ovio. I hope I don't butcher his last name. Did I say it right?
That's overly.
Overly.
Ah,
I did butcher his last name.
that's okay.
Custom. Well, my Spanish is my first language. But well, Michael Ovio, he's going to start starting a podcast very soon. And he has been able to deeply connect with animals since he was a small child. Now, he's an author and coach's happiness guide. He shares what is possible for others. His mission is to help men create the life of purpose through the teachings of loving their dogs. He's been a lover of dogs, and after a traumatic experience, he started working with himself, and now he's a life coach, right? Or life coach, or what
One
kind of
second.
coach you are? Oops,
Okay.
my Siri started talking.
Yeah. So yeah, you can call me a life coach. The name I came up with I thought was pretty cool. I copied it off of somebody else. Kind of is a canine partnered energy coach.
You have to explain me that one, Michael, because it sounds very interesting. I always like pets, and well, because I have dogs and cats. But what? Explain me how you came with that name and why.
Well, it makes sense to me, right? So as you already mentioned to folks, I've been connected with animals and nature my whole life, and dogs have been closest to me throughout all these times and periods in my life when I had these greatest chances for growth myself. And one day I realized that they're actually just masters with energy. They're masters of presence. They do energy healing, and we didn't have a concept of this until actually recently in our history. Um, so I opened to that, and now I utilize that, and I work with men and their dogs to help them see some of these things as well. And not everybody's going to turn into a practitioner, but just to be able to utilize some of these skills and realize the lessons that are available to people.
Hmm. Sounds interesting. I have understand one thing about my dog and my cats. That's why I mentioned my pets of the unconditional love they have for humans. And you want to learn about unconditional love? My God, our pets are. They can be the more loving animals to you. Of course, you giving that back to them. And sometimes they don't. You can. I have seen people they treat terrible their animals,
Mhm.
and they still love them. That's what is unconditional love. No judgment attached, right?
Absolutely. And I'm glad you used that word, judgment. People are always so concerned about what everyone else is thinking about them. And what I've come to realize is that most of our judgments come from inside of us. We're judging ourselves way more than anybody else out there is. It's fantastic. We create these stories about what somebody else might be thinking. And usually they're too caught up in their own stuff to be worried about what we're doing. It's really fantastic the amount of pressure we put on ourselves. But our animals, they don't judge us. They will go through hell and back and still show up to try and let us know that we're safe and that we're loved. It's just amazing.
What do you mean that you have learned from their energy and that and how do you work with men? This is why that's why it caught my attention
Oh,
and I thought it was very different because this is unique what you're doing and very special.
well, we can step back a little bit and we can equate energy in anything, right? Making eye contact with someone. Say it's someone that you're attracted to. There's something there, right? You both notice it. You feel something. That's actually an energetic exchange. You know, the sensation and feeling of love when you love somebody, what that does to your body. You know, chemicals are released, other things happen. Well, it takes energy to do all of that. So all of our feelings use energy. Our thoughts are energy. What we do with our dogs are energy. When we can open up to the possibilities of what actually is being received from our dogs to us, you would not believe what's going on. They're doing so much all the time, and our cats too. I have a friend who specializes in working with horses and goats. it's yeah, I mean it's limitless. So the potential is there. Um, let's say you have a bad day at work. You come home, you close the door, you're mad or whatever, and you sit down and you just start talking to your dog and start petting your dog. What happens physiologically? Heart rate goes down, blood pressure goes down, respiratory rate decreases, cortisol levels drop. I mean, all these physiological responses happening. Well, that's energy. Now, we also get energy from our animals, direct and indirect. So I don't know if you know much about energy work. There's Reiki and healing touch and all these different things. Animals are just natural at giving that and sharing their energy with us. I mean, it's just amazing.
Yes, I am a Reiki master and a channeler, and yes, I work with energy in multidimensional ways. But yes, I do agree. It's a way to get us out of our mind and start getting us into our heart and emotions when we're getting out of the problem. But how do you work with men in that way? Because you mentioned when we met that you were working with men and the pets to find love.
Mhm.
So can you explain me that one more, please?
Absolutely. So, with a lot of men like myself who have had just a horrible time with relationships, romantic relationships, let's say, um, we allow these animals, these beautiful creatures, to get closer and they get more access to us than, let's say, our spouse, our girlfriend, maybe even our parents and our friends, right? We have the ability to be way more vulnerable with this little creature than we can with people of our own species. And that goes back to the unconditional love, immediate acceptance, no judgment. I mean, they don't care if don't have much hair or got a big belly or what your house looks like or what kind of car you drive. All of these things that we deem important in our everyday lives just go. It's gone. It's instantly gone when you're with your dog. So
Mhm.
there's a level of access there that the dog already has into the heart of that man, and that's where I start. That's where we begin. And so we task the man with different things to allow that to expand, deepen that bond, but also increase trust in other ways.
Okay, I can see that. And and even if okay, let's say I know you even wrote a book about this.
Mhm.
As you guys should check it out, it's in Amazon. The links are gonna be underneath, so like that you can see his book. And but in the case of the animal, okay, as human beings, we are also conditioned, not only conditioned, we need the interaction with other human beings.
Mhm.
And that's part of being human. It will be awesome. I have met many people that actually live in a mountain far away from people, and now they're needing to coach because they don't know how to go back
Mhm.
to be around other people. And this we can say it also that we saw it in the pandemic when we went into insulation and everybody could not saw their people. And now even in the schools, I see it when in the case of my daughter, when I talk with many of the parents or many of the teachers, all the kids went into a horrible depression, and they're now in therapy and so forth. And the majority of human beings after the pandemic are being in isolation. they the majority are depressed, or many of them they went into suicidal in 2020, and the time of the when the pandemic was more fearless and everybody were in lockdown. I understand that having a pet can bring you at least some contact or some love, but that doesn't bring the interaction that we have with the humans. So,
No, it's not exactly the same. But for some people, that's where they can go. They have so much trouble creating deep relationships with other people, but they can get something from their animals. And what it comes down to even further is their animals are giving something, or they think they're giving them something that they can't give themselves. So we all do this. We look outside ourselves for love and validation and acceptance, right? Acknowledgement. So our four-legged fuzzies just immediately do that. We don't have to have a conversation about it. You don't have to, have an annual review around it. It's just there. It makes it simple and easy. Now, for some people, that can translate into better human relationships, but it takes some work because we have to realize why we need, or we think we need all these things from others. Why can't I give this to myself? Why am I able to, get cuddly and cute with my dog, but I can't hold hands with another person or can't make eye contact with somebody?
yeah, that comes from childhood trauma.
Mhm.
And usually it is where it started,
Yep.
and or looking at attention or comparing yourself or having envy or not receiving the love enough that you were needing when you were a kid. And that's what that's what it is. The majority of the human beings. Of course, there are other factors in there involved, depending on the case by case.
Mhm.
But but how you would translate the love from your pet to convert to a loving relationship? Have you seen successes stories about that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The hard part is breaking down the barrier between how we see this animal and how we see another person. Why do I have to define them differently? So in there, you already touched on a little bit. There's usually some trauma, and there's things that we can't see. We have blind spots. That's why people are. I love that fact that people are going out and getting coaches for things now, because it takes somebody else's perspective to look at it from a different angle and say, well, this is what I'm noticing, or have you thought of this? And people go, oh, yeah, I had no idea. I didn't realize it. So transferring that idea of love and that feeling of love to another person is not so easy if you can't realize that you're okay, right? Because then you're still going to be seeking something out there. So it's not a direct transference. It can be an incredible realization that, oh, I'm able to do this in this relationship. Well, hell yeah, I'm capable of doing this in another place. So, but if you see yourself stuck or negative self-talk, oh, I can't do this. I'm horrible at this. I'm terrible at that. I always get dumped. There's no way I can sustain a relationship. Well, then that's where you're going to stay.
Yeah, the sense of trust.
Yeah, but we don't trust ourselves. Again, we keep looking out there. I want you to trust me. Well, yeah, you don't seem like you trust yourself. Why should I trust you?
Yes, we can ask anyone to do something for ourselves that we don't do for ourselves first.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not saying don't ask for help. I'm trying to intimate the opposite. People need to ask for help. We're afraid of being seen less than, even though we already feel that way. I can't do this for myself, and I have to go ask for help for it. We think someone's going to judge us for that. Well, to me, that's brave. That's amazing. That's huge. I used to think the other way. Now I realize how amazing it is for someone to ask for help. I had to do it. I finally got to a point where I was like, oh, I don't like who I am, how I'm showing up in the world. I need help figuring this out. So that's what I did.
It's funny right now. It comes to my memory one of my sons, and now he's 32, that he got a beautiful dog that he got it when he was single because he did not he was attracting girls with his dog. And that was the way that he go a walk with his dog, and all the girls, oh, how beautiful puppy, and they came and actually put attention to him. Now, after he got married and have now 2 kids, he didn't know what to do with the dog because the dog was barking and barking and barking and not letting the babies sleep. And that's when I adopted him. That's how I have the dog. But that's also at the same time I see it is horrible to happen to the dog. Now it's like, oh, you are going to another place because I don't need you, because you're not, I don't need to attract more women. I don't need to people have that compassion. So I felt like the dog was used for that reason, and it was a horrible way to use anything, a plant, a human being, or an animal in those cases. And that's, I've seen that happens a lot
Mhm.
in human beings, and that is horrible for the for any being. Let's put it like that, to be used.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, nobody wants to feel like they've been used for something. And unfortunately, things happen in life that we don't agree with. Um, I think the
But
dogs have a greater awareness because they don't have all the stories and all the crap behind it. And the dog is probably happy to, to see your son spend time with these girls and finally get a wife. Um, I can't say that what he did at later was good or bad. That was their relationship.
yes, but what I'm saying, it is the dog did not translate for his self-trust of
Hmm.
getting another human being to fall in love with him or in love with him. So I'm trying to wrap my mind. Maybe this is my problem. I'm trying to wrap my mind in how you can help someone trust themselves while they're loving their pets. And I understand. We can understand about communication with pets. I am a channeler, so I can talk with my pet telepathically because I am a channeler. I use telepathy obviously to channel my messages, and with any being, not only humans, or I'm not even talking about this planet. But I'm trying to wrap my thing how it can help other humans to get a relationship and trusting themselves while having a pet. It doesn't matter if you have a pet or not. It's about
Hmm.
self-trust yourself. Because I know many human beings that did not have pets or did not like pets, and they're loving persons, except they don't like pets.
And that's okay. See, not one thing fits every person, right?
Mhm.
Not everybody's going to get it. Not everybody's going to understand, and that's okay. But for people who have that deep bond, that they already have this ability to trust here. They can trust the animal with their heart, with their feelings, with their emotions. So we build upon that
Okay.
to help them be able to trust themselves and then trust bringing another person into their life.
I see here in your bio that you also help people to find their purpose
Hmm.
in life. How do you do that? And that's
Um,
your coaching skills, or how do you work with that with other human beings?
yeah, well, I only work with men with dogs, so it comes back to the same thing. Until people can see that they're okay as they are, that they're safe, that they're loved, they just may not ever figure it out. It doesn't mean that they're not successful in some way. So I've worked with guys who realize that, oh my gosh, I'm not doing what I was meant to do. Very successful, made a lot of money, had a big house, fancy cars, all that stuff, just stuff. But they realized that they weren't doing what they loved. They weren't doing what they wanted to deeply do, and changed. And I've worked with guys who found out that they were exactly where they were at, but their perspective changed. They were able to see what they were doing as, oh my gosh, this is what I'm here for. this is what I'm meant to do. And that, they didn't have to make any grand changes in their life. It was their shift in their perspective and their ability to open to what they were supposed to be doing.
Hmm. How do you got to these conclusions? Beside of what I saw in your bio, at the death of your brother, it took you to find your life purpose where you are now. It was unfortunate, but the majority of the people, I call them different awakenings.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of we got going any kind of trauma. It can be a car accident, a death, or like in your case, or it can be divorces, or anything can happen, a big accident, something that make you wake up and get you where you are. That's the majority of the cases of the most of human beings that they are now
Yeah.
working themselves. So, but what beside of your brother, what were the conclusions that took you where you are?
So the death of my brother was an opportunity, right? So it stopped me cold, tore me open, and in that I was able to realize that I wasn't showing up as I wanted to show up in the world. So that was just a beginning, though. Again, so I became voracious. I was hungry. I wanted to know how I could be different, how I could be better. And for me, it was what my animals had been showing me all along that I hadn't noticed before. And what I realized with the dog I had at that time was what really created the catalyst for change in my life. So for me, it took this event to wake me up. Other people don't need that big event. They're wanting something, they're craving something. They know that they're just not where they're supposed to be, and they're willing to go and do whatever it takes. For some people, they think they're looking for love. They think they're looking for the love of their life, their partner. And when we get into some work, they realize, oh, I don't have to have that other person to make me whole. I don't have to have that other person. So depending on what they're looking for, they may realize that's not what they're actually looking for.
Mhm. Well, that I do understand. I've been 4 years single after my divorce. And yes, I got to the conclusion that I don't need anyone, that I am very happy from where I am, because there's always a controlling part. And that's where I'm going with this. There's always a controlling part that it is from when you're having a partner. You're trying to change the other human being to be who they wanted to they be. So like that you can fit in a square. And we all human beings, we tend to do that because we are tend to try to control, and but the animals, we still can control them, we still can tell them what to do, and they still do it. Well, sometimes my dog don't want to go where he's supposed to go, but but majority of the times we try to uh it is they're controllable in a way. Human beings were not that control. So how you translate that to a human interaction, because it is different, that unconditional love from finding the love of your life after having a pet, because it is not comparable. One you can control and the other one you can't.
Well, some of that I agree with. So, but let's take the dog I have now. Her name is Indigo. She's a Belgian Shepherd. And I came to a conclusion, excuse me, she's got a lot of behavioral issues, um, coming from foster care, being bounced around multiple shelters, and the fact that she's basically a police dog. She's driven and smart and athletic and stubborn. So I don't necessarily want to just control her, but I want her to give her an environment where she could be herself. So this acceptance by me of this animal and not wanting to control her translate directly into a relationship. So I agree. We try and control the other, our partner, so much. And usually comes from the fact that we don't think that we're enough. So we want something else to fit into our model to make us feel comfortable. When you get to a place where you don't have to have that other person because you know you're enough, then you've made space for that other person to accept them as they are. Now, I'm not saying 100%, but if you can accept this and know that you're okay and safe and loved and enough, then you can take that and directly transfer it into a human relationship.
This is in a way you're trying to heal the trauma that it was caused in childhood to the present from the parents, the majority of the times. That's where it was originated. Not here being loved or not having attention or not being seen or being protected and so on. So that's what you're trying to put whatever you were needing as a child to obtain it that as an adult with your pet. Huh, that is very interesting.
Mhm.
That is very interesting. I never thought on that.
Yeah. Well, most of us don't. We have our own experiences with these animals growing up, and we just leave it there. We don't look further. We don't try and investigate. Oh, I wonder why my dog is actually behaving this way. So, a number of the guys that I work with have dogs with behavioral problems. Like they've been to multiple trainers and they can't get X, Y, or Z figured out. And I work with them on their energy and then say, okay, now let's try that again. Because dogs can read our energy from a long ways off, right? We're the ones who are not adepts at energy. Animals are. So we work with the guy's energy and then we try something again. Oh, isn't that fascinating?
Hmm. Yeah, now I can see it, finally. Sorry for so many questions in that way, but I was trying to understand it until now I had my aha moment.
Yeah, no, it's great. And again, this is relatively new as far as something that's actually in our awareness. So I get into some pretty interesting conversations. And so again, some people get it, some people don't, and that's okay.
Yes,
I'm not out to convince everybody. I'm just out to help people who it resonates with.
yes, of course. And that's all of the coaches. It doesn't matter what kind of coach you are. We're not gonna resonate with everybody.
Yeah.
That is normal and that is fine. But yes, and now I can understand. Okay. And how do you work? Are you a Reiki master or are you practice Reiki?
Well, I'm not I'm not a Reiki master. I did train under two different Reiki masters, and I've also trained in pranic healing and reconnective healing, Kinslow method. I mean, you guys don't need a whole list. What I came up with one day, I was doing a distance session for a Reiki master, and I started doing this other thing. I was doing no symbols, and I just opened up this portal. I don't know what to call it, and I was able to help her access the energy of her at 5 years old riding bareback on a horse with her arms flung wide and hair flowing in the wind. And it was this pure bliss. It wasn't mine, it was hers. But we were able to help her access that. And so now I help people as a conduit, I would say, to access energy that they already have, but they're closed off to it.
Then you're accessing the Akashic records.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
Yes, I understand that. When we are accessing to that levels of energy and multidimensionality, it is easier to actually help people in many levels. I don't like the word healer because that is saying to someone that they're powerless and I'm more powerful, so they will heal you because you can do it by yourself. So that's why I like more the word coaching or coach. So like that, we're helping someone instead of saying, "Oh, here is the magic wand."
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's a wonderful distinction. And when I talk to people just about the energy work, I say, well, I can't just go like this and then zap, you're fixed. That's not how it works. Um, that's just the phraseology we've had around for some time. But that's why I call myself an energy coach up
Mhm.
front, because I coach people on how to run their energy.
Hmm. So that is interesting. As a conduct, then you can channel in a way,
Hmm.
right?
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
Do you channel beside of the energy of animals? You can channel other beings.
Mostly nature.
Okay.
I can see how energy flows through the ground, through a tree. Um, it's like it's almost like a dense mist or a fog that I'm aware of at times. I mean, we're always in it, but we just don't, we can't see it.
Yes. And if we're talking in general, yes.
Yeah.
Not everybody can see it.
Yeah.
But right now there are more people waking up,
Hmm.
working on themselves, and there's magical gifts that are waking up for many human beings that many of us, we can do it, or hear it, or listen it, or see it, or sense it, or just knowing it. And those are the wonderful gifts that we all human beings we have.
We're all
And
capable of it, but most of us are just shut off from it.
yes, because that was part of the program, not believing in yourself,
Mm.
not believing more that we go into grades of believing in ourselves. That's when we can do it. And that is why it is important what you're doing, because you're helping people to start believing in themselves.
Mm.
And right now, your tool, how I see it, is your tool is pets, so they can get in touch with their heart chakra that probably is close. Correct?
Yeah. Yeah. So you close your eyes and think of standing in front of a gigantic door, and you don't have, you see the lock, you don't have a key for it. Now, for some of us, all you got to do is look down right there at your dog. And for some people, that's the key. That's the key to access their heart space. That's what's behind the door. We overthink it. We overthink so much. It's all energy. It's all love. That's where we need to go.
How do you announce yourself? As in with the coaches, or to get your clients, or with the pets if they're having problems to train their pets? Where do you promote yourself?
Well, sometimes I just go to the dog park, and I won't go in the dog park, but I'll be walking. I'll be working with her, training her outside, and just strike up a conversation.
Hmm.
So I also have, it's not on Meetup, it's on a different platform where I set up, not every week, but on Sundays typically, that I'll set up something just for guys to bring their dogs out, and we'll just walk and talk,
Why only guys?
because we're afraid to ask for help.
I know women that are afraid. It is the majority of the ones that are more afraid to ask for help are men. I agree
Hmm.
with you.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
they're
our suicide rate is like 4 to 1 compared to women. So there's a lot more that needs to be worked on and healed, in men, and we're deathly afraid of being seen as vulnerable in any form. We think we have to be able to do everything ourselves, and we have to be the provider, and we have to be strong, and we can't let ourselves feel, and we sure as heck don't know how to express ourselves. So we bottle up so much. The only thing we're allowed to show is anger.
yeah.
It's absolutely wild. Anger is okay. Hey, let's go see this movie where these guys are killing each other and cutting their heads off and blowing things up. That's okay. How is that okay? So yeah, the men need a lot of help. The women aren't making those movies. The men are making those movies.
Yes, I do agree. There's a lot of anger, and yes, after the 2020, the pandemic, actually the rates of domestic violence and suicides went up. And unfortunately, people in lockdown, they could not escape their husbands or their wives or the situation where the works. Many people quit their jobs because of that. They realized they didn't want to be doing it. What have they been doing
Mhm.
for both genders? But yes, I do agree. There are more females working with themselves than males because there's an old program that we all have that if you observe it, you can change it, of course. That that men cannot express their emotions, and that when they even talk to each other, it's like, "What do you think?" While females, we do, "What do you feel?"
Yep.
And yes, how do you translate that for a pet when you're coaching?
Oh God, that's easy. So we can go back to the example of, paint a scenario for a guy having just the crappiest day at work. And then I'll say, well, walk me through, well, what do you do when you get home? Right? You get your dog's home waiting for you. Tell me, you turn that key, you open that door, let's go from there. Tell me what goes on. And so they change. And they're just, oh yeah, he's there and he's jumping up and down and he's excited to see me. I mean, their energy shifts and instantly. And I say, okay, well, stop, right there. Why can't we do this feeling more often? Why can't we hold this sensation, this energy more often? Oh, I don't know. It's fascinating. So, and then we go on. You could walk through the routine. How to go. So, this level of care for the animal, we can translate each piece of that to, well, you do that. Why don't you do that for yourself? Well, what do you mean? Oh, it's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. So, that love, that energy, that bond, that acceptance is translatable and relatable in so many ways. But most people don't realize it.
Yes, I do agree that there are many people that are not aware of what is going on outside themselves or even inside themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you work in other levels with people, or does energetically with them? Do you do Reiki to them, or do you do another or the techniques that you have learned with them?
Yeah. Well, it depends how far they want to go with that. Some people are okay with because I blend it in anyway, right? I open myself up. Okay, let's flow this out. Let's get them opened up. Um, I don't directly push energy on them, but I open up this area of the field. Some people want to go further because they really get it. They're like, whoa, what is that? Right? They're feeling something in their body. They get chills and they're feeling something moving. So I actually teach a form of energy movement. It's based on qigong and other martial arts that I studied, and I'm mixing some Native American dance and animal mimicry, those kinds of things. But I teach that for people if they want to go even further, and that's included with coaching too. And it's nothing in my experience can bring you present so quickly. It's just amazing.
Now, do you work with pets that are difficult, that they are stubborn and poop whatever they want?
Yes, yeah, but I'm not an animal trainer. I'm a human trainer. And actually, most dog trainers will tell you the same thing. We don't really need to train the dog. We need to train the human to train the dog, right? So I don't necessarily work, oh, well, if they're pulling on the leash when you're doing this, then do this one thing. Again, for me, it's energetic, it's confidence, it's presence, it's, understanding that relationship. Sometimes your dog is having to step in because you're not. So they're taking charge because you won't. Does that make sense?
Yes, I can see
So
that.
they're doing what they think they need to do for you because you're not able to do that at that time.
Mm.
So, and that's not every animal, right? That's not every single thing. Again, we think of things as being cookie cutter. Oh, well, then every dog does this. No, that's not how it works. So it's based on that relationship and how everybody's responding.
But also, I can see pets how they can get jealous with other pets. Um,
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Yeah.
yes, they still have personalities. That's another thing. People treat their animals like they're autonomous robots. They're not. They're living sentient beings. They have feelings,
Yes.
right? And when I change, everything around me changes. It has to.
Mhm.
That's just the nature of it. So some do well with that, and some don't do well with that.
Yes, it's you can change actually your outside unless you change your inside first.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that brings up another point. People they want change, right? They want something better for themselves, or they want to be more successful, more attractive, more loving, whatever that is. But there's always something that comes with that. So all the people in our lives expect us to show up a certain way, and when we change, well, now we show up differently. And so each one of those relationships can change a little bit as well.
Mhm.
Because we change the paradigm, we change the rules, right?
Yeah, we have. I have let go many friends and many people from my life,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yes, and but the pet will still be there. That's for sure. It doesn't matter if you change or not because there's no judgment attached from the old you to the new you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're not spinning stories in their head about, well, oh, Johnny used to be this way. They're just, hey, Johnny's home. It doesn't matter what you did yesterday. Yeah.
That is true. Michael, you work in groups or you work one on one?
Just one on one. Just one on one. I'm playing with a retreat model of up to 4 guys with their dogs. The dynamics can be a little challenging, I think, depending on animal behavior. But yeah, I'm looking at something like that.
Okay. And if they don't have pets, you want to work with them.
Nope. Nope. I have so many things that I have you and your dog do. From walks to meditations to whatever it is. It's important. You can't just sit down and journal about this. The way that I work, it's very active.
Okay. Okay, that sounds very interesting.
Hmm.
Do you have something else that you would like to add?
Yeah, I'm happy. I feel lucky, but I'm not perfect. I'm not always perfectly happy. This is a journey that continues. So I think people don't understand that it's an ongoing process. They think that there's all these a destination, and you get there, and that's it. That's all you got to do. So I just want people to know that it's a continual process, but it's worth it. It's beautiful. And every time you make a little change, a little shift, and again, these don't have to be massive changes. These little shifts create such incredible awarenesses of what else is possible. So, and it's not linear. It's not like here to here. It can be like this. So give yourself a break. Be gentle with yourself and realize that you are enough. You are worthy of love.
That is true. Thank you so much, Michael. I really appreciate it. And if this episode actually help you, or you think in someone that it can help, please share it and click like. I will appreciate that very much. And I will see you in the next one. Thank you, Michael. And thank you for being in Soul Talk. This is Monica Ramirez, Warrior of Love.
Thank you.
We meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free. Sometimes you need to go and take a step back to see the truth around you. From a distance you can tell. outdoors.